The following show contains content that is intended to invoke discussion, confusion, and laughter. The views expressed in the chat may not reflect the views of the GM10 show, Johnny, or Ruined. This content might not be suitable for everyone, but for everyone else, welcome to the GM10 show.
Holy shit!
Ladies and gentlemen,
Someone wake his ass up.
Adam Fox Auto.
It is Owen Power. 5 of 5.
Uru.
yeah, I don't know if that's Do you like the feeties with the little things on the bottom? Like the grippers?
The rubber grippies?
Yeah.
Yeah. The problem is, like, do you have hardwood floors?
I do.
Then do you have carpet?
No.
Or do you just have rugs?
It's
You just got
rugs.
rugs everywhere?
Yeah. Really, I don't
So,
really have that
I
many
get-
rugs, to be honest with you.
I get real upset when I wear the grippies on carpet.
And they like fold over to the side.
yeah. Yeah, like I don't like wearing shoes in the house.
Oh yeah, that's no good.
I don't typically like having things on my feet in the house. But like if you've got like hardwood floor or whatever, like you have to have the little rubbers on the bottom. You gotta have the grippies. For sure. Do you have slippers?
I do, and I'm proud of it.
What kind of slippers?
They're just slip-ons.
So slip-ons, like, well, hold on. All slippers are slip-ons. That's the whole point. That's why
Yeah,
they're
but
called
some of them
slippers.
have the back on the back.
What?
Yeah. Hold on.
Okay, you're gonna get. All right, he's gonna get them. He's gonna grab his slippers. Mine look like slides, but they have like fuzzy bottoms. Okay, yeah.
These are my slippers.
Would you call that a toesy?
I am now.
No,
I
you gotta
mean,
get your toesies.
Yeah. Because it
I
doesn't.
don't know. I think
it
that's a
doesn't
cool
get the
name.
back
Toesies.
It's just the frontsies. They are awfully warm though.
So was the inside like super fluffy when you got them, and now it's all like thinned
Yeah,
out
it's kinda
because
gross
you
now.
wear them all the time?
Yeah.
Yeah, that I had a pair like that, and then I had to get rid of them because they get like dense.
Yeah.
They get like hard on the bottom with the fluffy stuff when it gets compacted.
Yep.
You know.
Hate when that happens.
So I found a pair of deer form slides or deer foam. You know which ones I'm talking about?
I don't know. I don't hunt.
I don't think what? No. What are you talking about? Okay. Anyway, they just look like slides, like the regular Nike slides or whatever,
Yeah.
but they've got soft fuzzy bottom,
Okay.
and then it's like fabric over the top of your foot. And then it actually keeps my foot real warm.
But does it have toesies?
No, it's open toe. But
What?
it still works. It still works. They're open toe slippers. It works.
That doesn't make any sense.
But it works.
That's terrible.
They're slides. They're
Remember,
like house slides.
you remember when those shoes that were really popular that had the toes at the end of the shoes?
Yeah,
You would
they
wear
look
those,
like
wouldn't you?
finger shoes, like whatever it was. They had like your toes went in like individual
So
sockets.
Open-toed slippers.
They're just slides. They're just slides with fuzzy bottoms and a fuzzy top.
Okay. But do you wear them as slippers?
It works good for me because you know why? Because if I get a full slipper, my feet start to sweat. Do yours?
No. If they do, I just take the
Oh.
slipper off.
Yeah, but these I don't have to take off.
There.
They keep my foot warm, and I
But
can
not
just
your
keep them on.
toes. Kind of like a
My
halter
toes are
top for
fine.
your
They're still
for your
warm.
foot.
They're still warm. Yeah, it's like a stripper shirt.
Your foot is what's a whore?
It's definitely my foot is not a whore. Thank you. I've never whored out my foot for anybody.
Oh.
So
I gotta try these, man.
Good for feet picks. See, I can take nice little toes picks.
I'm so intrigued in this now.
What do you need a photo?
No, I'll
Would you
search
like
it
a
up on the
photo?
Google Webs. I don't need a photo. Thank you.
Oh, they've got an adjustable kind too.
Oh, really?
I don't know how you haven't seen open-toed slippers before.
I've never.
They're all over. They're all over.
Oh.
So I think that the Face Off series is gonna do a lot for hockey, like Drive to Survive did
Yeah.
for F1.
Yeah.
That Face Off series is awesome.
I
And
agree.
if people haven't watched it, they need to watch it because it shows a totally different side of the sport. And just shows how special the sport actually is.
Yeah. I agree, and I can't tell you how many people that I've talked to that have watched that Drive to Survive show and was like, "Oh, I'm hooked on F1 now. I watch it every weekend." And I'm like, you know, especially because there's only what was 2 races in the US. Like, it's such an international, sport. And I think hockey's very similar. I know we have the NHL in the US and some in Canada, but it's like that's where it should be the most popular. And there may be a lot of people that don't know the inner workings of what goes into being a hockey player. You know what I mean? That's
Right.
because
And
they're
it's like
stuck on their football or their you know what I mean?
exactly. And that was like one of the things that stood out. I mean, I knew this like obviously I knew this going into it, but when you hear someone say it, you're like, yeah, I forget about that. So in the series, PK Subban, they're talking about, because it's all about the playoffs, right? The guys, they're talking about guys in the playoffs or whatever, and he's like, this is not, this is not a joke. He's like, these guys don't play hurt; they're playing injured. There's a difference.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's what it means to them, like to chase after the Stanley Cup. That's what that dream's about. It's like the hurt is nothing. Like these guys play injured.
Yeah.
To try to chase after that thing. So it's like there's a very different, like you think about that and what that means from like a mental position that you're in. Right.
Yep.
And if you're gonna chase after something, like would you have played a sport like knowing you're actually damaging yourself and your career,
Right.
but you're so close that you could taste it that you just won't stop?
Yeah. It's that drive.
Like that's, I don't know if there's guys like, is a basketball player going to play on a sprained ankle?
Dude, they don't want to play 82
maybe
games.
maybe a select few might. There's guys in the NHL, man, they're doing it on skates.
Like cracked bones or like, hairline fracture, whatever, and still going out there. And
they're still going out
Yeah.
there. It's like, yeah, put a splint on it. We'll keep going.
Yeah.
I've seen them. I've seen the braces that they put in their glove. Like guy's got a broken finger. It doesn't matter. They put a piece of steel on the inside of the glove. Right.
I mean, just look
so
at
the finger can't bend.
look at how
and they
many
just
people
keep
get
going.
like, puck to the face or a skate or whatever, and they go out to the locker room, and then like 5 minutes later, they're back out there, red face from all the blood stained skin that that was dripping down, cut stitches or little butterfly things all across their eye, and they go back out there for their shift. You know what I mean?
God, it's the best. It really is the best.
Yeah. Well, I even thought of
crazy.
like I think it's a different when we took like my family to a hockey game. You know what I mean? Like the
Mhm.
atmosphere and how they don't know much about hockey, but like when when they went to the game, it's like, holy cow, this is so much more than just chasing a puck on the screen. You know what I mean?
For sure. And TV does not do it justice. Right. Like when you're there in person, you realize just how fast the sport is. Even more so now. Like, I mean, I've been to NHL games recently, but I remember more of the ones I went to as a kid, and like you're like, wow, like this is, how do they do this? How do they do
Right.
this at this speed, like the whole time, right? And now you go, and even from now to 2012 or 2013, like when were the Thrashers here? Like
Oh,
it was
man,
around that time.
Further than I thought it was.
Because they were here for like 10 years or so,
Yeah.
something like that. Well, even still, right? Like you think about the difference in speed between then and now has multiplied. Like it's
Yep.
how fast the game
Yeah,
is now.
2011.
Right. So like to do that, I mean, it's pretty wild. It's at the velocity that the game is played.
Do you feel like, and we're probably biased, but do you think that energy and that atmosphere of the speed of the game is that awe-inspiring to like somebody that's never seen it versus like if you take somebody to a baseball game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Baseball is one of the slowest games, and trust me, I love baseball. I love watching
Sure.
baseball, but it's like to get somebody to come watch a baseball game that's never watched a baseball game before, like that's kind of hard to. Hey, do you like it? Yeah, you know what I mean. Like, but you take them to a hockey game, or
Yeah.
something that's like, even football's got the energy and the there's plays that are happening all the time, but it's like to me, hockey is something special about that. You know what I mean?
It is. And I don't think people will really appreciate it until they see it in person.
Yeah.
Because it is. I've taken a lot of people to their first hockey game. They've gone to like college games, they've gone to minor pro games, they've gone to NHL game, like all the different levels that I've been to games with.
Yeah.
Games with too. Every single time I was like, I don't know how they do it. Every single time.
Yeah. Now,
And after a while, I guess we kind of take it for granted, and then you start to get judgy. You're like,
yeah.
well, this guy's horrible.
Yeah. Do you feel like the speed of the game, since you've kind of been inundated with, the minor league hockey, what's the difference in, what would you say, Thrashers are what, like double A?
What are you saying?
In baseball terms? Like, you have
the Gladiators?
Triple A, double A, yeah.
The Gladiators are double A. So that's
Okay.
the East Coast Hockey League. It's the premier double
Sure. All right,
double
so
A
if
league.
you have I'm just going to call them double A for the sake of just my math.
Sure.
So
they are double A.
Okay.
They go by it.
So
Yeah.
if the double A hockey, how much more of a jump from double A to triple A, the AHL, and then how much more of a jump from the triple A AHL to the NHL?
I mean, they're pretty big.
Yeah.
The gaps are pretty big.
Which one's bigger, you think?
But it's small things. I personally think the jump from double A to triple A, well, it depends on who you are.
Sure.
And how good you are. Because there are like, you've obviously got guys at different skill levels throughout the leagues, right? Who, like, if you've got a guy who's just breaking into double A,
right?
It's a long way for him to get to triple A.
Triple A.
You know, but I don't think you can really gauge that. I think you can look at the levels and you can see what the differences are. And it's all about the speed at which decisions are made.
Okay.
So the time that it takes for a player to receive a puck, handle it, recognize what's happening around him, and decide what to do with it is infinitely faster at the NHL level than it is at the AA level.
Sure.
Like, it's not, you can't even fathom from the AA level, you can't even begin to fathom what those guys at the NHL level can do. Right. And how quickly they make those decisions.
Yeah.
And let's say that decision-making speed is at 100 at the NHL level, because all those guys can do it. Like, that's just, once guys are there, it's just like, it's just the way the game's played.
I feel like can see into the future for some reason. You know what I mean?
Almost like,
Yeah.
you start to be able to, your level of anticipation goes up. Like it's just, it's the way the game's played, right? So say it's probably a good 10 to 20% difference from level to level.
Okay.
Is my thinking.
Yeah.
So I would say like the guys at the AA level are probably clicking at about 60% of, maybe 70% of what the NHL guys do, and how fast they move, and how fast they make. It's because that's what it's about. It's about moving the puck.
What about from a
and
goalie
making
standpoint?
those decisions. Like, what's the difference? Like,
All right, so like
skill
when I look at,
guys or-
I feel like there's obviously different skill sets for each position, but to me, like, and correct me if I'm wrong because you played the position, but like as a goalie, my job is to stop the puck, obviously, but
right.
I know there's other things I'm having to look for. You know, is the guy breaking late, or is he coming over here? You know, whatever it may be. But like, I feel like a goalie's more simplistic thinking in the sense of I gotta be in position to stop the puck, right? Versus, you know, a skater or a forward or even a defender or whatever has to then I have to do what my body's telling me to do, and then I have to react to their body. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
not to say that it's a less important job or that you don't have to be as skilled to do it. What I'm saying is like, do you feel like a goalie in the AA can succeed in the NHL level, or if an NHL goalie drops down to a AA level, are they just going to dominate because the game's so much slower for them?
Okay, well let's start with your first question. So your first question is, can a guy in the AA make that jump to
Strictly goalie speaking.
to the National League, right?
Yeah.
From a goalie perspective, it's been done. Quick did it, right? In a short period of time.
Sure.
He went from was it Reading in the East Coast, and then ended up in LA. And we were talking about, I think we talked about this last time, and then he's stuck.
Yeah.
Right. And he was just there. He was their guy. So it can be done. The difference is it's the same sort of scenario with goaltenders as it is with forwards.
Okay.
And defense, or with skaters, is that it's about how quickly you can read the game in front of you. Right. So there was I was watching, I was on Instagram, and there was a video of Matt Murray with the Texas Stars, right, at the American League.
Mm-hmm.
And the caption was, count how many shoulder checks Matt Murray makes in this short video, right? Okay. And so from the time the puck entered the corner of his zone till the time it left, I think he checked his shoulder like 15 times.
Of just looking back? Is that what you're talking about?
Just looking back over his shoulder, right? And what he's doing is he's taking snapshots of the play around him, so he's completely aware of what the situation is, depending on where the puck goes to. Right. And if he's doing that, the guys at the NHL level are doing that. And then the guys at the AA level are probably not doing that as well. As they're not doing it as effectively as he is, probably.
Sure.
Right. Otherwise, they would anticipate the game a bit better, and their numbers would probably be better, and maybe they would be up there.
Yeah.
But it is very much about it's all about situational awareness, goaltending, and how good you are at understanding what the scenario is around you at all times. And that's really what makes the difference. Yes, there's things like speed and reaction time, and
Sure.
when you talk about like raw puck stopping ability, right? There's one aspect of it. But if you don't know, or you can't anticipate where that play is going to be, you're never going to get there, because you can't you can't guess because you'll end up going the wrong penalties in soccer.
Sure.
Right? It's like you're kind of gambling all the time on where you can't play a hockey as a goalie that way. Like that's not how that works.
Like it was almost like I always wondered why like a guy like Shaquille O'Neal, right? He's 7 something whatever, why he couldn't play goaltender. You know? Cuz he's big, he's going to take up almost the entire thing. Yeah, but then he can't go down and then come back up that fast. You know what I mean? So it's like there is
Right, he's slow, right?
levels of that in my opinion that or not my opinion, but it's like I always thought just why not stick a big fat guy back there? He's going to take up as much room, he's going to stop the puck. But there's so much more to it than just can you
Right.
let it hit you to stop the puck.
I mean, you also have to get in the way of it.
Right.
Like just because you're big, like
Yeah,
you
and
can't
be in
just stand
position
in the
to skate
middle
out,
and
yeah.
take up the whole thing. Like that's not how it works. Like you've got to be square to the shot, right? You got to present yourself to the shooter. Like there's a whole thing. Like there's technique to that. And then what happens when he passes it?
Right. Yeah.
Right. So you have to be like there are now goalies have gotten a lot bigger, like height wise.
Yeah.
Because it allows them to play a specific style where they can start or they can spend a lot more time down in a butterfly position and still
'Cause
take
their
up a lot of
shoulders
the
are-
net.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean we can get into that whole thing, that whole RVH technique some other time, but it's different. It is very different than it used to be. But as far as like those gaps go, like from level to level, they are pretty big. They are pretty big, but it's funny because like the gaps are big, but the skill set that it's required, it's all about like doing really small things really well.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's like I'm sure like to be successful at baseball,
Yep.
right? To be successful at baseball, yeah, you can be strong and you can hit a ball a long way and all that. But baseball is one of those sports where it's all about the little things and
Yep.
being able to read what's in front of you
Yeah. 100%.
and what the scenarios are and what could happen next. Like that's entirely what baseball is about. And it's not terribly different from goaltending that way.
Yeah.
Like it's all about reading the play in front of you.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So, and the guys who are really good at it, that's how they end up making those
they
incredible
succeed.
saves.
Yeah.
Right. They end up making like insane saves because they're like, I just shoulder checked and I know that guy's there. So I know that's a possibility. If that puck, if I get the inkling, or if I read that pass and it's on a certain angle, I know who that's going to because I know where that guy is. And I already know what save selection I'm going to make. In my mind, I'm like, if he does, there's 2 things he can do with it because I know where he is and I know where my defender is. Like these are all the things that are being computed in that split second that you look over your shoulder and then look back at the puck. Like if it goes over there, I'm sliding across in a butterfly and I'm either going to jam my right foot, right? So I can push back the other way because he walks. Or if my defenseman does his job and fronts him, I can stay in that. I can slide all the way across and stay in that position. I know I'll take that shot away from him. So it's like that's happening, but it's happening 4 other times because there's 4 other guys with the puck or without the puck.
Right.
So you have to know all of those scenarios. And then you
got to execute it.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Then you have to do it, right? And then you have to remember. So if this goes to the point and the shot comes, I also remember that guy's there, so I can't leave a rebound to that side. So if it comes to that side, I either have to completely control it or I have to get it off the glass.
Yeah.
Right. And then I got to make sure that the shot that comes in is a shot that I can do that with.
Yeah.
And then what do I do? Right.
Yep.
It's like, but that's, I mean, you think about it. It's like, it's similar to the way like a shortstop in baseball.
Sure.
Right?
Or
if the ball
hitting
comes
in baseball. It's like,
if the ball comes to my left, I know that I can probably 2-step to the bag and then hurl it to first for a double play. If it goes to my right, I've got to get ready to turn and toss it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're not going to get the double. We won't be able to double them up. Like it's like you're thinking those things all the time.
Well, you think like in baseball hitting, like it's like, okay, runner on third, I want to hit it to the right side. Well, he's got to give me a pitch that I can hit to the right side. You know what I mean?
Right.
If he jams me inside, that's going to be hard to push to the other side. Just the same as like in hockey. If
Unless you really push your hands out in
Yeah.
front of you,
yeah, you got to be early.
you
on it.
might be able to get it to go the other way.
But you know what I mean? Like, okay, there's a guy over there, and if a guy shoots it to my pads, you know, I can't just block it and let it go right to him. You know, I got to push it another way.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. And so like, and players know that now. Like we've seen, right? They're doing it like they do pop drills all the time. And so pop drills are pass off pad drills.
Mm.
Right. So what they do is that we do it in practice. Guy drives to the outside, guy cuts to the middle. The guy from the outside, the whole was to get him used to shooting off the far side pad and laying it up for the guy that's crashed in the net. Like that's the whole point. Right. And they practice it over and over and over and over again. And especially now, like the way pads are built, like they give off like really hot rebounds. Right. Like a lot of times pucks are coming out faster than they went in.
Yeah.
Right. Because the pads have so much, they have so much pop to them now. Right. So they know that and they practice it all the time.
That's
so
crazy.
It's like, right. And then you've got plays behind the net or when they come down the wing and you see these goalies that are going down too early and they're getting sniped short side cheddar, right? Short side shoulder.
Yeah.
Because they went down RVH too early. And they, you know, and all the forwards know it now. Look at McKinnon's goal the other night. I don't know if you saw that. It was Nashville. It was on the power play. Saros went down on his right-hand side, right, to take away the post. The puck was, I'm not kidding you, was an inch above the goal line.
Oh, wow.
It was an inch above the goal line. And McKinnon took a backhand and shoveled it off the back of Saros's shoulder and banked it in.
Oh, wow.
Because he was leaning out just a little bit too far.
Yeah.
But they're all looking for it. They're all looking for it. It's nuts.
Yeah,
it's like this constant to and fro battle between forwards and goalies and how you defend. Like nowadays, so the technology in sticks has changed. Okay.
Yeah.
Where before, like you used to be able to read a shot. Like as a goalie, you used to be able to watch like the angle of the stick blade, which way the guy's kind of leaning into his shoulder. You could kind of guess on where that shot was going. Now, the way the sticks are made, it encrypts everything. So you don't get that anymore.
You're thinking,
so wrist shots are they're 10 times harder to stop than they were back in the day because you can't see it anymore.
Question. I know it's been around for a little while, so it's not new. But do you like the new overtime 3v3?
I did until the Gladiators game the other day, and it's 7 minutes long.
Seriously?
Yeah, the ECHL plays 7 minute 3v3. It is long. That is a long time for
5 minutes or
3v3.
3 minutes for the shell?
It's 5. I don't like when teams start circling and holding on and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, like oftentimes more than not, the teams that do that, it will end up like a shot clock would be interesting, like a possession clock.
Ooh,
that would be interesting.
But does that make the game gimmicky? You know what I mean? Like if you're in the D zone you can only hold it for 5-10 seconds, whatever, unless you're changing lines, and then you got to be in the neutral zone. Doesn't have one, but you got to shoot. Like that's hard. And think about the clock operator every time it switches possessions.
Well, they do it in basketball.
Yeah, but you're not switching possessions that fast. You know what I mean?
No, I know, but I think the idea is like if you decide to regroup, if you're playing 3-on-3 and you go into the offensive zone, right?
Right.
And then you leave the offensive zone to regroup.
Oh,
you've only got a certain amount of time
to try to get back in.
To try to get back in. I mean, it needs some ironing out, but something like that could work. It just sucks when you just have guys like they're just throwing the puck back and forth and it's 3-on-3 and they're just killing time. It kind of sucks. It defeats the purpose. Because it is supposed to be like straight run and gun, but at the same time you got to play some defense. You can't just have it, you know. Swayman pitched, what did he have, 2 shutouts in a row?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He had 2 shutouts in a row last week or something like that.
I haven't looked. Has he signed a deal yet?
Swayman? Yeah,
Yeah.
he signed on like the last day of camp.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What do you end up going for? You get his 10?
8.25 or something like that. I think.
All right.
Something. It was like the going rate. Like that's pretty much what guys were getting.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Shesty. You can't say he deserves more than Shesty. He hasn't played a full season by himself.
This will be it, right?
Shesty's
Be
going to
the
get like
telling.
12. Guy, so I was listening to 32 Thoughts. You ever listen to 32 Thoughts?
I don't know what that is. Please explain.
So Elliot Friedman from Sportsnet,
Mhm.
he's got a podcast.
Okay.
And so they're talking about like contracts and stuff like that. And so you know how everyone's like nervous about Minnesota with Kaprizov, right?
Okay.
Because his contract's coming up and they're like, oh, are they going to pay him? Are they not? Like, does he want to leave? Like, what's going to happen? And so like Minnesota's like openly committed.
Yeah.
That they're like they'll pay him whatever it takes to get him to stay. Elliot Friedman was like, I think he was half kidding. He said the contract might be for 17 a year.
What?
Like he was like 8 by 17.
That's a lot. That's
8
a lot.
by 17.
That's crazy.
Isn't that nuts?
I don't know
So-
who deserves that. You know what I mean?
Well, Draisaitl just got 14. But so here was the argument. I know, yeah, absolutely favor. Yeah, I would take it too. Here's the argument. Try to imagine, or here's an easier picture. Imagine Edmonton without Draisaitl.
Okay.
Okay. So you still got McDavid, you still got a
Jesus.
pretty
Yep.
decent team around or whatever. Imagine Minnesota without Kaprizov though. Like there's not much left
Yeah.
to pick from.
Yeah.
Like
Favor.
so the other part of it is, and this was a really good point. He is a Minnesota success story, right? He was
Okay.
their pick. They
Yeah,
had
yeah,
to like
yeah.
they had to fight with Russia to get him over here. For like 2 seasons they had to do that to like get him to like actually be able to come over and play and everything else. And then he came in here and he was like yeah, he is that team. Like he is that franchise. And I don't think you can have the Minnesota Wild without Kaprizov on it. And I think that is a fair value for him.
Sure.
But the ripple effect that will have around the league is going to be amazing to watch.
Yeah, because you gotta raise the cap now, like
Well,
substantially.
the cap's going up anyways, not a ton.
Sure.
Yeah, the cap's going up. I
I
mean, it's not
understand that, but
going
you
up
got-
like a ton.
Everybody's gonna, if one
but-
person does it, everybody else is gonna be like, I want this much. It may not be that
And what
that
is
much, but I'm just saying it's gonna be more than what some are worth.
But then what does McDavid get?
Yeah.
If Kaprizov signs this summer for 17 a year
For 8 years,
for 8 years,
McDavid gets the fuck out of Edmonton.
what does McDavid get on his new deal?
Oh, you go 20,
He would have to be
2010. The
You
$200
can't-
million contract.
I think 8's the maximum. 8
Oh, is it?
years is
Okay.
the maximum, I think.
Yeah, but why not change that?
They had that. It was horrible
Oh yeah, that's right.
because
We signed Johan Franzen for like 15 years, and then we're
right.
still paying him.
Minnesota, I think, is still paying off like some 12 or 14-year
Yeah.
contracts with some guys. Yeah. And Suter's still playing for other teams.
Yeah.
Suter, where was in Dallas? Unlimited cap. Do you remember what it was like back then, though? There were like 3 teams. Everyone else was like, the league
2008.
parity was not good. It's actually not good for the sport, to be honest, because there's only a few teams that can actually do that.
What year
Yeah.
was it? There was no cap.
The Wings won a few cups under that regime when there was no salary cap.
Oh, was
The
that the
salary-
96 out era?
Yeah, it was like the 90s was you could do whatever you wanted. It was like the Wild West, right? And it was like that before then.
Kind of like soccer.
When-
You've got the money, you can just pay for.
When
whoever.
did the cap start? When did the salary cap come in? It was in the early 2000s. 2005, 2006 was the first season of the salary cap. And it was only 39 million per team.
It was
it's
just all
doubled.
Russian.
It's doubled since then. The Rangers needed to pay them it. You talking about Shesterkin? They offered him 11. He didn't want it.
What else do you want?
He says it. So here's what goalies are trying to do. Goalies are trying to change the narrative that you're not paying me to be a goalie. You're paying me to be one of your best players. Right? Now, there's like a serious issue with paying goalies long-term a lot of money. You're only going to get about 3 years out of them where they're going to be worth that kind of money. Like it's all in the stats.
Sure,
Like you go back, you look at the stats. There's not too many goalies that are pumping out elite numbers for longer than 3 seasons in a row. And so they did a thing. They took the top 5 goalies over the last, what was it? The top 5? It's top 5 or top 10? It was like top 10 goalies over the last 5 seasons.
Yeah.
And there were only like 2 that were in the top 10 more than once.
So why not give them 15
why
at
am I
3
paying
years?
That's what they should do.
Yeah.
That's what they should do. And then when you're done with those 3 years, if you're good, we'll give you more. But it's stupid to pay a goalie for
On an
longer than
8-year or
3
whatever. Yeah.
3 yeah, like a 4-year deal should be like right where a goalie sits.
Sure.
Because that gives them at least the room to be like, all right, so
Yeah.
you had like an average year 3, and then you came back in year 4 and you were your elite self.
Sure.
Or whatever, right? But that's what I'm saying. Is like I think 3 to 4 years. That's why Swayman should have taken a 4-year deal. Him taking an 8-year deal was stupid. He should
His
have
was
taken a
8 with
4-year
8,
deal,
wasn't it?
shown he can run the table for 4 straight seasons as a number 1 guy, and then he would have got way more money after showing 4 straight seasons that he could be a number 1 top performer. 8 for 8, it was 8.25 or whatever for 8 seasons. When he gets out of that deal, he's going to be 33.
I mean, after taxes, you're looking at $2 million.
Oh, poor guy. I know, right? No, but he's going to be 33 when that's up instead of being 29, where Shesterkin is right now.
I can see that.
So I would rather have taken. He should have said, "I'll take handcuffs to franchise." It is. It's a stupid deal. It's a stupid deal for everybody. You should pay him a high amount. The problem is it hurts your cap for those years, but you've only got an elite goalie for those years, so you might as well pay for it.
Yeah.
Because when those years are over, you're going to have to go find someone else, and it's not going to be that kind of money. I'm down with that. 6 years, 6-year limit. I'm down with that. I think 8's too long. Unless it really is someone like at that elite tier, like a McDavid or a McKinnon or McCarr, someone who's shown like consistency for year after year after year, and you know what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Then I'd say, yeah, sure, I'll sign you to 8 to like finish out your career, right?
So why not?
So
Are
to
you
speak.
thinking Sturkin is worth 15?
Shesterkin? No. I don't think he's worth more than Vasi in his prime. Give me a break.
But you said he turned down 12, right? Or 11?
11.
Okay.
He turned down 11 for 8 or something like that. $88 million. And all he has to do is put in like 3 to 4 good years, and then no one will bat an eyelash. Be like, oh, all right. They're bad deals. They're all bad deals. Like I said, it's like those top tier dudes putting out 100 points a year. Absolutely. All day.
Right.
You can't be putting up mediocre points or having played just 40 games as a goalie and then demand starting Vesna money. Like, that doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense whatsoever. And somehow Boston still paid it. I don't get it.
Final score will be 3-2 Wings.
Oof. That's actually not a really bad shout, to be honest. If you played Sportsline, you should definitely put that down.
Kaner will net one of them.
Oh, now you're getting too picky. See, you're getting
Power
greedy.
play.
Oh boy.
No, my odds are going up, so I get more money.
We'll see, buddy.
We have injuries too. Nope. Jack Campbell and Grittinger. You have Matthews day to day. Mermis? Jarkanok?
Who?
I don't know. I've never heard of those names.
Yarncroc?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Figured. I figured that's what it sounded like, but I wasn't sure.
I love this matchup, though. It's one of my favorite games to watch.
What, Leafs
Yeah,
Wings?
just Wings Leafs, you know?
Yeah, they're
It's
awesome.
classic. Like watching Pittsburgh and Philly.
Oh, Toronto, Boston's always good.
Yeah.
Matthews has 19 block shots. You talk about a guy who's doing it all.
Yeah.
19 block shots.
So many blocks that it hurt his upper body.
Right, that he's out. He's day to day. There's only 2 players on the roster with more block shots. It's Morgan Riley and Ekman Larson. Both D-men.
What you like to see? You like to see a forward getting dirty.
I love it. 19 block shots. He does everything, man. He doesn't play soft. Matthews does not play soft at all. It's exciting. Definitely listen to 32 Thoughts.
Okay.
Put that on one day when you're just in the car or whatever. Or if you're just at work, just working, just listen. It's a really good insight to like the behind the scenes, like, because he gets all like the contract info and gossip and stuff. It's like a different angle to the sport.
Okay.
Elliot Friedman's great too. Like, he's always the guy like on the when they do like the first day of free agent signing, like signing day, or they do the draft or the trade deadline day.
Mm-hmm.
He's always the guy that's there with all the info on who might get who and all that. So he's got a lot of insight onto that side of the sport, which is you don't get a lot. Like, at least here, I don't feel like you get a lot of that when they talk about it, even when they talk about it on TV, like when they do NHL Face Off on TNT and all that kind of stuff. They don't get into that stuff enough, you know, to really give it meaning. But he does. It's good. It's good knowledge to have. So, all right. Well, it's been a good show.
This is it here and stare at each other.
Yeah.